way. So on Friday, I had the pleasure of doing a visit to the Whitehall Hotel in Chicago. And let me tell you about this connection because I think I mentioned it a little bit before. But back in February, I ran into Kingsley. It was at the Atlantis, and we started talking about, me being in Chicago. And he's like, "Hey, have you heard of this independent hotel? They're looking to attract more planners." And I'm like, "No." Come to find out, it's a historic hotel, over 100 years old, right there off of Michigan Avenue. I don't know why I don't know this hotel, but I didn't. So it was instantly curious. Met with the sales manager, Mike, and then, long story short, a month goes by, I'm able to do a site. And Russell, let me tell you about this site, because you know how I feel about how things should be done.
Yes.
So I get there, and it's Mike and another sales manager, Jane, and we know each other, but not very well. And from the minute I stepped on that hotel to the minute I left, I felt like, oh, these are my people. They were just the entire process was so genuine and so, how can we build this relationship? And it was not even sales. It was basically like, we're so happy that you graced your presence. I mean, when I tell you they were blowing my head up with my ego, Russell, it was just amazing. So it's just the energy. I know, right? I know. When I was there, I was like, oh, Russell is going to laugh at me when I keep telling him this. So we started with a site. It was supposed to be a site, looking at a few rooms, meeting space, and then just a happy hour. So the hotel, it's interesting because you have to know about that hotel. Usually they don't get a lot of that foot traffic because they're off of Michigan Avenue. Mm-hmm. They're across from the Four Seasons, they're kind of nestled in. So they do have to have some effort to really promote themselves or really, hone in on their, repeat business. So it's kind of a hard way to promote to new people. So they're still trying to figure that out. Not very big on meeting space. I would say what I did like about it is the meeting space was all on one level, on the second level, boardroom, some breakouts, and then just a smaller or just a large kind of conference space, no ballroom. So, and I looked it up for you. We're talking about, 3,000 square feet at the most. So about 40 people. So small groups. Mm-hmm. And they know that market. They know they're not trying to, build this whole conference center. They have a little bit of meeting space, maybe doing some of, these smaller, executive meetings. They have a boardroom. They also do support some of that overflow from the Four Seasons next door. But, they have that, and then they have their rooms. They have about 222 rooms, pretty much standard rooms, and then a few suites. And when I tell you their standard rooms are pretty big in comparison to a lot of the hotels in Chicago. I mean, very roomy. They got the king doubles, and then they have the regular kings, but and then they recently renovated. So all in all, very comfortable accommodations. And I'm glad that I'm able to see it because it's something that, when I first heard of the hotel, I went straight to their website and I'm like, okay, it's just a whatever regular hotel. You go there and you feel kind of the vibe. You feel from, even the valet who's opening the door for you, who's glad to see you on the front desk. And I made this comment saying that these people look like they like coming to work.
Imagine that. Huh?
Because sometimes I've done sites and I'm like, oh no. And I think that's the importance of doing it, if you can, to do a site to see if that's going to fit a program.
That's true. And you want to see the happiness or the lack of happiness with their staff. Right?
You do. You can't hide that. So if they're disgruntled, you're like, ooh, am I even going to get my event right? Exactly. Something happens.
Exactly.
So that was great. And, small tour. And then, we went to the restaurant. Russell, they were like, we're having dinner and you order whatever you want. But here's the thing. It was very almost strategic because it was like, we want you to, we love our food. We love, and we can use our food in the restaurant because it's an independent hotel. They have a lot of flexibility. So
Okay.
it's not the standard banquet food. If you don't want, and we have certain, if you want this on the menu, we'll bring it. We love our food, but we can only say that we need you to, have your own opinion. And the only way you'll do that is to try it. So I go there, and our server, Rick, he's like, what would you like? What can I start you off with? And, I'm like, okay, just a little appetite. He's like, no, let's pick some things. And what about this? And what about that? And they're just so happy to treat you.
Wow. Were you the only one there? You.
And you know how I feel about,
what?
You know how I feel when people entertain me over food. That was like to next level. So let me tell you about the restaurant. It's a cozy restaurant that's Asian inspired. So we're talking about dumplings and ramen and egg rolls.
I love
but
that.
At the same time, they have this weird like wood fire pizza oven. So then there's a separate menu of pizza. And then the story behind that is when they changed over the restaurant and wanted to make it all Asian inspired, people were like, bring back, where's the pizza? They would come in and ask for this pizza. Okay. And they would like have a fit that it wasn't there. So they brought it back. Russell, when I tell you, it was one of the most delicious pizzas I've ever had. And we're not talking about just pizza. We're talking about different things that are infused together to just make it pop. For instance, one of the pizzas, it was their signature pizza with cheese, goat cheese, and then grapes. So it had that savory sweetness. And then, of course,
goat cheese with grapes. Wow.
And who would have thunk? Who would have thunk?
Yeah.
Never had in my life. But, that was just one version. And it was memorable. So they're very taking their time about the quality of their food. They have pastries. They're opening a pastry cafe next door. And they're like, you have to come back. I'm like, say less. But when you think about when we do all these events, and we talk about this too, our server was like, do you have any, dietary restrictions or things you don't like? And, catering the menu to people where now that becomes an experience around your event. Because now you remember that. Because when I tell you I'm about to go back and get the pizza, it was so, and it's a wood fire pizza. It wasn't like, oh, it's just regular. And so it's an experience where they cook it in front of you, to order. So again, a hidden gem. And I think we talked about this before about how independent hotels need to hone in on what that individuality.
Yeah, I think I just mentioned it, and we just talked about that last week.
Yeah,
hidden gem, is that a good thing? I mean, I guess initially it's cute to say that.
It is, yeah.
But the way you're carrying on about the food and everything, they shouldn't be a hidden gem. People should know about this place. What's the name of it again?
It's the Whitehall Hotel in Chicago.
Whitehall.
Yes, one